We've invited my colleague Uday Purani here. He's going to bring us up to speed on INNIO's understanding of this legislation, this important legislation. What's really important for us is that you continue to engage with us. If you have questions and you need someone to help you, guide you through this, or bounce things off of, that's what we want to do. We want to be your partner for this legislation. There's probably a year's worth of communication still to come, but this is something we're all going to need in order to work in the power space. So I'll turn it over to Uday.
Hi, good morning, everyone. As Mark says, I'm Uday Purani. I'm not from H&R Block. I am an engine guy. We try to put as much information together as possible to educate the customers. And I'll go through what we have so far. So a few disclaimers. The content provided here is more for information for real projects. I think we should really get the tax consultants involved and get the real data. We at INNIO and Jenbacher are not the tax consultants, right? So we need to bring in the right resources to provide you the right information going forward on real projects. So I think three things we want to talk here today. One is the overview of what this IRA Act is. Second is what's the deadline after, what's the implication after 2025? And then there are some other tax-related advantages. And we will not go too much into the details, but we'll just give you an overview of what is available out there. And then, of course, we'll leave the last Q&A session. If you guys have any questions, I'll try my best to answer. So the overview of this is, number one, starting this year into 2024, December 31st, 2024. That's the first tier. And the base ITC credit was originally 6%. Now that credit has gone up to 30%. The two requirements you have to meet, one is the wages have to be prevailing wages, and you have to have the apprenticeship program for that installation. One caveat to that is if the project or the size of the project is below 1 megawatt, there is an exemption. You don't need to meet that requirement. So anything below 1 meg, you don't need to have that. You still get the 30% ITC. There is a bonus credit available, which brings us to 40%. And the requirement for that is you have to have the project in an energy community area, or you have to meet the domestic content requirement. And we'll talk a little more about that, what those specifics are. So either or, if you meet that, you get that 10% additional bonus. And then on top of it, you get the 10% if you meet both of those requirements. In other words, your project is in the community area, and also you meet the domestic content requirement. Then the credit goes up to 50%, which is pretty significant. Under the Section 48, any project which begins the construction before 2025 gets 30% ITC. And then you also have, as I said, the other bonuses if it's applicable. Projects you start after 2025 has a safe harbor. And if you, as far as the project construction starts, or you pay 5% of the total project cost, then it's considered, and you can carry that up to 2028. So that's the safe harbor IRS has provided. And the tax credits are transferable And that does not really apply to the commercial industrial type customers. I mean, that applies more towards nonprofit type of organizations, hospitals who are tax exempt. So we won't talk too much about it, but more about commercial industrial customers can take advantage of that. So as I said, the 30% applies to the projects between now and end of 2024. Prevailing wage, again, where the site is, the wages have to be equal to, for the labor, from the Labor Department has put out the information about that, and you have to provide the wages accordingly. Apprenticeship, they changed that, and a small table they put in, so anything was started before January, you have to be 10%. Starting now till end of this year, it's going to be 12.5%, and then into 24, you have to carry 15% for your apprenticeship program. That qualifies you for your 30% ITC. So, what is the energy community? So the project has to be located at a brownfield site. That's one criteria. Well, how do you define brownfield site? EPA has put out a map where, with the definition, so that you can select and make sure the site is in brownfield or not. The other area is if there was a coal power plant which was shut down, and you are going to utilize that space to provide the power, or the area where the revenue and income for all the residents was based on fossil fuel opportunities were based on fossil fuel only, I think that will also consider as energy community. So if you have a project in that region, then you get that 10% additional bonus. Domestic content, still the guidance is not 100% clear. There are so many questions since our engines are manufactured in Europe. The definition is any steel, and the clarification we have asked from IRA is it just the engine? Is it the enclosure? Is it the BOP items? Is that the complete structure or complete project? I mean, what's the percentage? So they are still defining those guidelines. We don't have that clarity yet. So that is also on a sliding scale. So if you do that project today and next year, the content requirement is about 40%. But as time goes on, that goes up. So 45% in 2025, 6 is 50%, and then 27 or later, it goes up to 55%. And as I said, I mean, we had a bunch of questions. They were submitted to the IRS, and they are still reviewing it. Not everything is going to come out in one shot, so it'll come piece by piece, and as more information is available, we'll in the presentation. After it's in 2025, the ITC will go into 2 different sections. So you can have ITC, or you can have PTC. The production tax credit. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that too. Under 45, the PTC is for clean fuel only. So natural gas is not going to be considered as clean fuel. EPA does not have the guidelines for the buildings for their emission levels, right? So that is, again, we need the clarity on that. But basically, it has to be carbon-free fuel in order to claim this credit in 2025 onwards. So what is carbon-free fuel? Well, we don't know, because the argument is Okay, natural gas is not, but then RNG is, biogas is, landfill gas is. If you have hydrogen, that is carbon-free. Renewable propane, a lot of discussion about that in the market. So again, the clarity is not there from the Treasury Department. We have submitted the RFI, and we are waiting for clarification on those items. So, other than the ITCs, there are additional, I would say, credits available. So, on top of this 30%, 40%, there is $10 billion allocated for the facilities who are going to reduce their carbon by 20%, whether by installing energy efficiency systems, whether utilizing the waste heat, any method they can implement to reduce their carbon footprint by 20%. There is, again, $10 billion is allocated to that. How much do you get it? Again, that's not known yet, and we are still asking for the clarification on that item.